Hey everybody, welcome to the Good E-Reader Radio Show. This is Marcus. In the last few weeks since we've talked to you guys last, there's been a tremendous amount of news, announcements of new technology coming into play. There has been announcements by companies like Fujitsu for their new e-readers coming out, and we're going to go over some of the latest new technology that's been just announced in the last few weeks. We're not going to really get into the semantics of the devices, but of course you can check out all of the specs, pictures, details, and full reviews of these devices at our blog at goodereader.com/blog. Now, first of all, we're going to look at the new Fujitsu device. It's a full-color e-reader that's in prototype stage that was just announced. The final product should come with about a 1024 by 768 resolution and have about 260,000 different colors that will come out. Now, it should come out with Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and all of these other specs. They had an earlier model that they were working on, but it never really made the journey to North America. It was just an Asian device. It never really went anywhere. Now, what Fujitsu is hoping that with the new color e-reader technology that's going to be seen at the later half of this year, for those of you guys that don't know, Freescale, which is the manufacturer of most e-ink screens from Amazon to Sony to Barnes & Noble to Spring Design Alex and so on, they came up with a new technology that allows them to reproduce color, and next year you will also see color and 3D. Now, Freescale made this new technology and basically said that we can manufacture it cheaper than the old e-ink screens if we get enough orders for the manufacturer to do it. So Amazon, Sony, a lot of these other companies are planning major announcements in the near future about new color e-readers coming out. So definitely stay tuned to that situation. Now, jumping into Slate PCs really quickly, a company in Berlin called Neofonie just had a big event in which they brought out their new Wepad. Now, the Wepad is an 11.7-inch fully touchscreen device. It has about 1.6 gigahertz Intel Atom processor, about 16 gigabytes of internal storage, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. It has a 1.3 megapixel camera. It's starting to debut at about $600. It will have a different model that has 3G and more gigabytes, so around 32 gigabytes, and that'll be around $770. Now, other notable features: 2 USB sockets. It has stereo speakers, does Flash and Adobe Air support. It will come out with HDMI as well as a Broadcom Crystal HD video accelerator for 1080p video playback. Now, this was the first big media event in which the Wepad was shown. Up until then, it was just private events, not really a whole lot of information. We've put out a big video that's getting a lot of views on this that basically has a guy on the ground there and interviews one of the lead producers behind this item. The Wepad looks like a great device. We've mentioned it briefly in a previous episode, but this is a company to look for. They have had a number of partnerships that they've made, and they have about 20,000 people interested in signing up for pre-orders, although pre-orders won't be formally accepted until the 27th of April. Now, what they're banking on is the Apple iPad isn't available in Germany yet. It should be there probably by about June, because as you guys may or may not know, the Apple iPad was again delayed for international launch. The next international launch date is May the 27th. And they'll be accepting international pre-orders around May the 11th, Apple said. So with this new ground that they're making up, Wepad's really banking on having a substantial gain in the German market and substantiate themselves before really Apple gets in there and dominates the market really quickly. So the Wepad is a great tablet Slate PC. Again, there's a lot more stats and a lot more information. You can see some of the articles we wrote as well as videos on it on our blog. Now, 2 bits of big e-reader news. For one, the Spring Design Alex has now shipped. The Spring Design Alex is much akin to the Barnes & Noble Nook. There are a few exceptions. For one, the Spring Design Alex has a lot more features available for Google Apps, but one of the main selling points is it can actually surf the internet in e-ink. This is something the Barnes & Noble Nook can't do. You can hook up to the internet and buy books online, of course, but you can't actually surf the web. The Alex allows you to surf the web and be able to actually download books from the web or via HTML and download them to your Alex. So this is a great e-reader to look at for. It's in the bottom $300 price range as far as price goes, and this is a great one to look at. Now, Amazon and Barnes & Noble have actually signed some big retail partnerships agreements. Amazon Kindles will now be sold at Target. And Target, if you guys are outside the United States, Target is one of the larger box of stores. They sell everything from clothes to electronics. They're much akin to a Walmart, a Kmart, stores like that. So Amazon signed an exclusive agreement with Target. For those of you who maybe aren't aware, Target is actually the company that runs Amazon's website and has a strong part in their customer service. Now, Barnes & Noble, despite the fact that they sell their Nook at Barnes & Noble locations and sells them as well on the web, Barnes & Noble signed an agreement with Best Buy. So, in Best Buy stores nationwide and international, you actually be able to buy the Barnes & Noble Nook directly in stores. Now, Sony has been in the stores for a long time, and it's because of that impulse buy. By having the e-reader presence available in most Sony stores, it allows casual consumers that may not know a whole lot about e-readers to give them the first-hand experience with them. And with these e-readers only costing a few $100s for the base model, you can see that Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Sony, and some of these other companies that are establishing retail market presence, that they're going to be turning over a lot more profit than similar items that may have bigger screens, better specs, but they're not there and accessible for the casual consumer to be aware of them. They're mostly just available on websites, or in Spring Design Alex's case, they are at Borders locations. But the more stores that these e-readers are able to have a retail presence in, the more that those companies will make more money, support them with updates and firmware, and release more models in the future. Now, Amazon, as you guys know, is the leading e-reader company for the last few years running. They pretty well dominate the entire market, and with signing a retail agreement with Target, it's definitely going to increase their bottom line. Now, Notion Inc., the company behind Notion Inc., Atom, it is going to be delayed. They're saying that it's not going to be able to hit until about August of 2010. There was some delays with the Tegra 2 chipset that they're using, as well as Flash. Now, there's a lot of conflict in those two issues. There really isn't a whole lot of information available. Notion Inc. hasn't come out and said, basically, our unit is delayed because of this factor. There's just a lot of speculation and rumors in the industry right now that there's a conflict between the NVIDIA Tegra 2 chipset with the implementing Flash for a Slate multimedia experience. Now, this is delaying not just Notion Inc., but this is delaying MSI, who is also coming out with a Slate, and it's delaying a number of other Slate PCs that are using the NVIDIA Tegra 2 chip. Now, there are, in retrospect, a lot of new Slates coming out that are using the Intel Atom chip, and those are really unaffected right now. Now, the final e-reader we're looking at is the EZ ebook reader, a full color e-reader. Although the display isn't that great, it's about 800 by 480, but it has 128 megabytes of internal RAM, internal storage of about 2 to 4 gigabytes, and SD supporting up to 32 gigabytes. Continue to follow this story along with all of our other stories on our blog at goodereader.com/blog. We write around 3 or 4 new articles a day. We're one of the leading sources for e-reader and Slate PC news. For Good E-Reader, this is Marcus, and thanks for listening.